No, we're delighted to have Brian Message with us today. Brian's been in the music business for 15 years or so, was worked within the labels, in the mid-90s started working with Radiohead and that management team, has continued to work with them to this day, has also developed a whole roster of artists, many of whom you'll have doubtless heard, so Faithless, Kate Nash, Hadouken, Master Shorty, a new artist who was was at the top of the BBC's new artist for 2009. And he's also just recently, hot off the press news, been elected as new chairman of the Music Managers Forum in the UK. So let's have a round of applause for yeah. Whoa, I'm liking this.
Thank you.
The fan club. So Brian, there's a lot of specifics we get into, but just I guess maybe to set the scene. I guess a lot of the conversation over the past couple of days has been about the internet. How disruptive a force, whether for good or for bad, on the world. Just your bullet point in terms of, from an artist manager's perspective, key areas of change and the key ways in which the value chain has been disrupted.
Look, I suppose for myself and my partners, it's been a quite dramatic period of change. You know, our business models have sort of migrated away from earning 20% commission to and having having to put up no investment to actually nowadays having to put up quite a lot of investment and changing the nature of our relationship with our artists, basically to match the huge seismic shift that's going on in our business. I think that's been it's an interesting journey, you know, and that it definitely makes the pips squeak a little bit in terms of taking that risk and not really trying to focus on signing record deals as the first step, but actually, you know, just looking at a whole variety of different options with your artists. So that's been quite a seismic change. And obviously in that movement, I think, towards that artist-fan relationship, which I think has been quite a big theme of the last couple of days, is something that we fully embrace. You know, all our artists we now regard as obviously their own businesses with a way to connect direct to their fans. It's all about making sure we get some sort of long-term career where there are different challenges for bands like Radiohead and Faithless versus Master Shorty and Kate Nash and those artists starting off. There's no rules anymore. Flexibility is key. So all of those things really are those are the areas we're really trying to focus in on. And I suppose at some level we're lucky. You know, we don't have a big catalogue business, so we don't have that hanging around us in terms of trying to maximise the economic return from a catalogue. We are trying to drive a bunch of careers for our artists on a long-term basis, so we have to look forward.
Okay, so let's start off with that. The artist is the starting point. Historically, manager at some stage would go and look for a record deal. You're approaching things very differently in terms of starting off with a bunch of partners that you're putting around the table, and that's really the starting point as you start to grow fans, grow audience, and then look to monetize that. So whether you're talking about one of your most established artists or a new artist, who are the key parties, if you like, when you're looking to build that career?
I think when we get involved in particularly with a young artist nowadays, you know, the economics have changed to such a degree that we are really encouraging all of our acts to, you know, be able to make a record for £5-10 grand, to start making videos for £500 or £1,000, you know, cheap, effective, where when you take the money out of the equation, it lives and dies on its creativity. At some level, we're forced to go down that route because there just aren't that many record deals around anymore. I think as well, if you're an artist, Kate Nash is a classic case in point. You know, she makes her own music or made her own music. She put it all up on MySpace. She wrote to DJs. She started doing some shows, and she created enough momentum online for, you know, other artists to start recommending her, and this thing started to build. She drove that process. Hadouken was the same, and we then get on board and start providing them with some investment to keep driving, keep building that momentum. So that's a pretty key dynamic for the younger artists, for sure.
So when you're talking about you partner with someone, you start then trying to create some energy. You bring the investment in. You're looking from what sources for that investment in those early stages? From your own pockets, from partners, because that's historically where the publisher or the label or someone will step in. That's some of the things that you're actually changing.
Yeah, look, in its simple form for us, as I said, every artist is its own business. Every artist has the capability to be a global brand, is a global brand, whether they've got 2 fans or 2 million. What we're trying to do is really make sure that everybody's sat around that table. So the artist, who has to take on a lot more responsibility in respect of driving that business, a sort of manager who's running that business, and then the third party for us is obviously an investor. Now the investors and manager could be the same team, it could be different. It all depends what you're trying to achieve.
There's a lot of discussion probably a year ago, a long year ago, 360 deals, the way record companies were going to reinvent themselves. That was something which you guys had looked at in terms of partnering with Warner, not least on these artists. 360 deals, the future?
I think the definition of 360 is really important. I think if a 360 deal is basically about selling recorded copyrights, i.e. it's still in a traditional copyright trading model, and the partner is looking to recoup investment from other revenue areas, then I don't see that as a particularly inspiring way forward. A 360 model, which is a partnership brand kind of approach, where you're trying to identify the angle for your artist and then drive a marketing campaign across all aspects of what that artist does, is a philosophically hugely different business. And I understand completely why a major record label or any record label would want to drive a copyright trading 360-degree model, because they're trying to build catalogue. And there's clearly still a big number of people and a number of corporations that want to drive that catalogue business.
Final question on radio, because I'm sure we could go on all day. At the time, even the idea of pay what you like was, oh my God, that is crazy. Since then, actually, there's been further developments, maybe inspired by that, say, Nine Inch Nails, actually free, stimulating than other purchases as well as distribution of free music. Would you, in the future, look at just actually completely free as opposed to even the pay-as-like model?
I think for us, the key word in all of this stuff, other than trust, is value. Free music has a value for us, and certainly a lot of our artists, whether that's Radiohead, Kate Nash, Hadouken, free has been a valuable part of the artist proposition. Doesn't mean that it's that you then suddenly just go straight into delivering free recorded music. It's part of the mix, and will continue to be part of the mix. I'm sure in Faithless's next album, if they do an album, free will be part of it, because there are certain territories around the world where there isn't a great market for them. Well, we need to get a market, so we want to try and get a market. Well, we're going to have to do some stuff to make it exciting and interesting for people to get on board.